This is the 2015 Motion Nitro Cross. And the Nitro line of bikes from them is special because it can go 28 miles per hour. So these are speed pedalec bikes. And a couple of the features that come along with that are a little license plate holder on the back there, front and rear lights, just like that, a bar end mirror. It's pretty cool, kind of adjustable. And then this spring activated kickstand. So like as soon as you lean the bike, boom, that thing like kicks itself up, which is pretty cool. And I think these are sort of, it's spec'd based on European requirements for these faster bikes. In Europe, you have to get a license plate, and you know, it's not just like a normal electric bike where it doesn't require a license, doesn't require insurance. And in most of the United States, however, that's not the case. As long as it's pedal assist and you're up to 28 miles per hour, you're usually good, as long as the motor size isn't above 750 watt. And again, the throttle does cut out still at 20 miles per hour. So it's kind of just, it's walking that fine balance there. And overall, this is really, it's leveraging a lot of the same parts from the Motion Neo series of bikes, which was like 2013, 2014, namely the battery pack configuration. You can see this thing is sort of curved. It matches the flow of the frame. Motion has a new line of bikes called Evo, and their battery packs are straight. The big difference here is that this battery can't be charged on the bike. You have to take it off to charge it, just like the old Neo bikes. And you know, it's a little bit of a hassle. I'll get to that in just a minute, but otherwise, it's a lot like the Motion Neo Cross. You know, again, Nitro Cross. It's kind of pulling from that. It's got a nice little suspension fork up here. I think it's about 63 millimeters of travel, just SR Sun Tour, though it does have a lockout, which is pretty cool. Got these nice Schwalbe Marathon tires with this nice reflective sidewall. These are 700 by 38C, so they're a little bit fatter than like a road bike tire, and they've got a nice little tread, but they're still pretty efficient. And we've got quite a few, speeds to choose from back here. I believe this is 30 speeds, so we've got 3 rings in the front and 10 rings in the rear, Shimano XT. So pretty good drivetrain components, and 30 speeds. A lot of electric bikes have just like 10 at the rear, you know? And that's good in this case because you can pedal and have a decent set cadence at those higher speeds or lower speeds for climbing. The downside is now you have 2 derailleurs that you're going to have to kind of keep tuned up, and you know, there's more stuff that can get kind of bumped. But otherwise, you know, pretty solid, really bicycle. And Motion is a part of BH. It's a group that's been around since, it's like 100 years. They've been making bikes in Spain and just recently got into electric bikes in the United States around that 2013 time period. And you can see that, just the way that the frame flows, and pretty nice parts. I was going to call out these aluminum alloy platform pedals. They're stiff, they're solid traction. And these nice bosses back here. That's one of my favorite parts actually on the bike, is that they basically turn this into a potential real commuter bike, because you can add a rack and you can carry your supplies, your panniers, your bag, whatever you want. And it's great. It's great to have that option. One thing they don't have, however, is a bottle cage adapter. So there's no bosses here. You might have to like add something to the seat post or carry one on your rear rack, because there really isn't a place to put a water bottle cage. But otherwise, again, it's kind of looks like a bike. We take a step back here. It really blends in. The motor is pretty compact. The rest of the bike looks pretty normal. Like some people might be like, whoa, you've got, you know, lights and a rear view mirror, but other than that, things are looking good. The bike is about 50 pounds, so, you know, definitely heavier than a normal bike, but that weight is distributed pretty well from the motor, and then the battery relatively low and forward on the bike. It's a pretty good setup that way. The brakes, you know, you can imagine you'd want something that's a little bit more you know, heavy duty for going those higher speeds. They're using these Tektro Dorado hydraulic disc brakes, and hydraulic just means that it's going to be a little bit smoother, and it's not going to require quite as much force to pull on that lever and activate the brakes. And on the front we have a 180 millimeter rotor, and on the back we have a 160 millimeter rotor. So, you know, pretty solid right there. Also, I guess one of the other requirements for speed pedelecs in Europe is that they have this like ball at the end of the the lever, and maybe that's so that your fingers don't slide off as easily. Kind of interesting to learn about these different rules over there. And then yeah, we've got these decent semi-ergonomic rubber grips. They don't have lockers or anything, so they can kind of twist if you really bear down on them. And of course there's the half grip throttle right here, which could also kind of compromise your grip if you're really intense, you know, at those higher speeds, hanging on for dear life. And then this nice seat post here. I'm someone who really appreciates a little bit more cushion, and these tires being a little bit more narrow, they might not give you as much as you'd like. The suspension in the front helps. You could also add a thud buster or something, and this is a 31.6 millimeter diameter seat post right here by 350. So just a heads up there if you're interested. This bike is about $4,400, which is a little bit more expensive than some of their other bikes. They're just around $3,000, but again, you get that higher top speed, and I'm going to talk about the battery and the motor in a second. But they, in addition to the Nitro Cross, which is like red and white and black, they also have like a Nitro City, and it's the same bike. It's like the exact same bike, just a little bit different color, and it comes with like a rear rack and fenders and stuff. So I think I would almost go for that one. Why not? You know, you get these accessories. You could take them off if you want to, unless you're really excited about the colors on this one. I think the other one's also a little bit heavier. Instead of 50 pounds, it's like 53, you know, because of the accessories. But that's just one thing that kind of struck me as like, oh, you know, why not? You just get those extras. And I think that's kind of it for the bike-related aspects of the Nitro Cross. Let's talk a little bit about the drive system. What we've got back here is a 500-watt geared rear hub motor, and it's actually the same form factor as their 350-watt made by Daphu. And it makes me wonder, like, is it a different motor or not? And I asked, and they said, yeah, there have been some changes internally, and, you know, I suppose maybe different glue or whatever to make sure that the magnets can take the intensity of higher speeds and perhaps more heat. But it's neat that they were able to keep that small form factor. This probably weighs about the same, about 9 pounds, you know, because it's just it's stealthy. It really blends into the cassette and that 160 millimeter disc rotor over there. So a fan of that. And you can see right here, that metal plate, that's a TMM4 torque sensor, and that's how the pedal assist is activated. As you pedal, it pulls, kind of like twists that metal plate there a little bit, and it activates the motor. So pretty high quality stuff. One of the downsides of the Nitro series is that the motor mount is not a quick release. On the new Evo series, they've got like kind of a levers on the sides of this, and they've got cables that come out a little bit differently. You can see that the cable on this one, it comes out right near the derailleur, and it's sticking out pretty far. It could be bumped a little bit easier, and of course you need traditional tools to take this off. You like remove this rubber cap, and then there's just a big bolt. You can see the cables coming right out through the axle there. So kind of, you know, those are some of the differences as far as the motor. The other big difference between the Nitro and the Neo series versus the Evo is that battery pack that I mentioned earlier. So let's just pop it off. Again, the big downside being that there's nowhere to plug this in on the bike. So every time you get home or to the office, you know, you can't just lean it up against the wall and charge it. You actually have to take the battery completely off like that, and then, you know, a lot of times set it down like this. And you can imagine over time that could sort of scuff up the paint job a little bit. So that was one of the complaints. The size of this battery is a 48 volt, 8.7 amp hour. It does use Samsung lithium ion cells, so really high quality stuff. This is the first 48 volt battery that I've seen on an Easy Motion bike. A lot of the other ones have like 36.9 or you know, 36 about 12. So basically the higher voltage means you're going to get a stronger feel, a little bit more power in combination with that 500 watt geared rear hub motor. So I'm going to pop that back on. And this battery is a little heavier too. It's about 6 pounds instead of 5.5. And I think that's kind of it. You've got a pretty good idea. Paying a little bit more, you're getting a little bit faster bike. I'm going to hop on this thing and show you how it rides here in just a second. The best way to activate it is just to hold down that power button. But before I get there, this is a removable display, and that's pretty cool because if you're, you know, going into the office, you're locking this up, take the battery or the display off, and no one can really mess with it. Kind of blends in a little bit more as a regular bike. So here we go. We pop this back on. Oops, got it upside down. There we go. And we hold on to this power button for like 3 seconds, a little bit longer. There we go, and it comes to life. You've got your speed, battery level, there we go, 4 out of 5 bars, and then your different pedal assist levels. Over here, we've got some more information, like your total trip distance, how long it's been ridden, and then your top speed. And it can do that for like total or for trip. And if we want, you can hold down on the minus button here for a couple seconds, and it's probably hard to see right now, but the display just lit up. It's backlit, and the rear light also lit up, so it's got front and rear lights, which is kind of handy if you're riding around. I'm going to turn the lights off, and I'm going to start this off in just throttle mode. So one of the other things about this bike is that you can't use the throttle when you're in pedal assist mode. It's just throttle mode, and that's it. So it's good for doing quick demos, you know, of riding the bike, and I suppose there are times where you're going through a puddle or whatever and you might want to just use the throttle. But in order to do that, you're going to have to arrow down out of pedal assist, and of course it's going to use your battery more quickly than if you were helping out. And there's the throttle. Just going to hit that. Best performance is going to be in pedal assist mode. So let's go into that, and let's arrow all the way up to boost mode. There we go. There we go. Definitely getting some of that speed. Woo! Now you might have noticed also that the motor didn't cut out quite as quickly when I stopped pedaling there. One of the things I've noticed all across the Easy Motion line is that the motors just go a little bit longer, and I think what they're trying to do is reduce surge, which is when you're using a torque sensor like this, it can sense, you know, oh, they're pushing really hard, but you don't want the motor necessarily to be like, you know, kind of like inconsistent output. You want it to be relatively smooth, and so what they've done, it's like they extended the power output a little bit longer. But the cool thing is these brake levers, they do have motor cutoff integrated, so as soon as you pull on one of those, the motor's going to cut out, and the rest of the time you're riding, well, it's going to be relatively smooth. So, you know, it's a decent solution, but something to kind of keep in mind depending on the type of riding you're going to do. I don't think that's adjustable at the user level. And also, as I've been pedaling, one of the things I've noticed is that over here, you can see that kickstand. I've actually been kind of like hitting my foot on it a little bit. You know, I'm pedaling like this, boom, my foot comes into contact with the kickstand down there. And I don't have like especially large feet. You know, I'm like 9.5, 10 size shoe. This frame only comes in one size, medium. It's like a 19-inch frame, so it's kind of a mixed bag. I like having the kickstand, but you know, of course, I don't want to kick it while I'm riding. Yep, pedal assist is definitely my favorite mode on this bike for sure, and there's that mirror. You kind of see the cockpit here. It's a nice seating position. It's a little bit more forward than like a cruiser, but it's not so far forward that you're gonna feel like you're getting a sore back or neck. And of course that suspension fork really helps. So that's the Easy Motion Nitro Cross, new for 2015. It's got that 28 mile/hour top speed. It's pretty cool. But definitely also check out the Nitro City with the racks and fenders and stuff. For the full write-up on this and other Easy Motion electric bike reviews, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.